Hello everyone and welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. Today's video we've got a couple feet to look at. First up, we've got a heifer with a sore right front foot, and the second one is a cow who's got a sore left front foot. We're going to start out with the heifer and see what we got going on here. The first thing I notice when I pick up this foot is that it's got the classic look of a heifer that's got some laminitis or founder. And what that means is basically is we got some damage with the lamina that attaches the pedal bone to that outside wall. So in those cases, we're likely going to be dealing with a white line lesion or some hemorrhaging in the white line. Those white patches you notice in the foot, that's normal. That is what we refer to as pith. And what that is basically is as the hoof is produced on the inner layers, as it works its way out, it begins to dry out. And that's the way, over time, these feet will flake off and shed on their own, basically. But in this case, when we got animals that are on concrete, that doesn't happen as readily because it tends to hold more moisture. But you can still see there's some areas there that are drying out, and that's what that white you see is. That's what those patches are. So here as we zoom in and get a good close-up of that white line area, you can see the hemorrhaging up near the top, and you can see this split that's going on right along that white line junction there, and that's what's allowed that bacteria to enter and get into that foot and ultimately cause pain for this cow here. So what we're doing is we need to remove this area, work its way down until we get to the base of that crack, and that's where we'll find that little abscess in here. So as you take a look here, you can see that little dark spot right on the white line. That's the area that we're going to work in and follow in and see where it goes. And at the base of that, where this finally terminates, that's where that white line lesion is going to be. I could have used a grinder here to speed this process up, but you don't want to go and you don't want to take too much of that outside wall away, which you have a tendency to do with that grinder. So I'm using the knife, and that way I can take away smaller slivers and take away just what I need to get to that abscess point. So at this point, you can see we're almost there. That little dark spot, that's the area we're headed for. Got to be careful not to take too much here because this is very close to that corium, so got to be very careful when we cut that away. But I'm going to get a block on this other claw. I know I've only got a few swipes left of my knife and I'm going to be through, so get that block on, let that get started, and we'll finish this foot. And there we find just a little bit of fluid. This infection had just started to set in on this foot, so she didn't have a lot of buildup there. But so we got that opened up now, so we're just going to get this open up just a tiny bit more, and we're going to let that drain. I'm not going to do any wrap with this. This is very, very fresh. No chance of getting any dermatitis in there, so we're going to get that sprayed up, let it drain. That'll heal right over without having to put any salicylic acid or anything on that, and we'll get her on her way. A little kiss for the camera there to say thank you, and she's ready to go back with her friends. This next case, well, let's just say this next case, it's not going to be nearly as hard to spot the problem with this one. And you've probably spotted it. Pretty significant case of digital dermatitis to treat on this girl. And I already know the question that some of you had, are you going to reuse that used mixing tip that you've got between her toes on another cow now that it's touched that digital dermatitis on this cow? The answer is no. Whenever I use a tip to give me some space there and the cow has digital dermatitis, I am going to pitch that tip to avoid spreading that bacteria from one cow to the next. So before I trim this up, I'm going to spray it down really well with chlorhexidine to start. Wash away all the debris, wash away any of the biofilm from the bacteria, and let that chlorhexidine sit on there and soak as I trim this foot. Then when I'm done, I'm going to gently scrub this away. Anything that's remaining on there, you get in between in between a little bit better in that interdigital cleft area, and I want to do that carefully and not irritate this area anymore. I want to make sure that the powder that I'm going to apply is not going to be diluted by any blood or anything like that to get the best opportunity to kill these bacteria. This time I'm going to use salicylic acid instead of copper sulfate. The reason for that is just the size of this lesion. If I used copper sulfate, it would make her pretty uncomfortable. And the fact that it's a really flat lesion. That tends to be when salicylic acid is at its best. You see me use that with a lot of stuff when you have digital dermatitis, hairy attack going on with the corium. This is the type of lesion too on the heel that it works really well on. And it's much more comfortable for the cow, so that's what we're going to use in this case. All right, that's going to do it for this video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. We will see you all on the next one.